In case you're wondering what I'm looking at, I'm staring at a golf tee. Doesn't seem like much, nothing out of the ordinary. I just happened to find it somewhere in a closet when I was doing some cleanup. And the strange thing is, this isn't even the weirdest thing I've found. I know I had some loose baseboards when I first moved in. Opened them up to try to get them clean because they weren't attached properly. And I found pennies and jewelry buried in the wall. It's like, am I going on a treasure hunt now? Did they want me to find this stuff? And they didn't even leave a treasure map for me, so X really did not mark the spot. I don't even know where X was to begin with. All this to say that no matter what you do, no matter how long you've been someplace, you're always going to discover something new. There's always going to be a brand new piece of treasure you're going to find. There's going to be random crap that, has been sitting there for years. You're going to find a repair that you think, what were they thinking around that time? And everyone's had that kind of stuff too. But I digress. It's a very mellow Sunday for the moment. Haven't really done much, and frankly, most of my cheese reserves are starting to run low. I feel like I exhausted all of that when I was taking care of my stroganoff last night. But I feel like I do want to whip something up right now. I do have a cooking thing in mind, but before I do any of that, I think I'm going to want to get some fuel in me, just so I could get a little bit of, let's say, inspiration, get some kick inside, like in excess. Okay. Well, I was looking through my fridge to see what kind of brews I wanted. I was kind of tempted to do the brown beer that's sitting in there that had squirrels with binoculars on it. If you remember my little pizza run from a little while back, I picked it up because I kind of got amused about it. It's like, I don't know, espionage perverted squirrels, if you remember my phrase for that. I don't know. It's a funny thing. But I had another one that's been sitting in my fridge for a little bit from Champs Libre. This one, bière brassée au sud-ouest de Finland. So I guess it's supposed to be like Swedish? Something from the, Nordic territory? Actually, no, it's in Mercier. Not very Nordic, is it? But this is an IPA Kvik. So I feel like I remember reading about this, like Kvik. Is that like, someone explained it is supposed to be a Nordic style, but Kvik I thought is like, is it a Soviet beer? Kvik is it like quick? So it's like, is this a quickie IPA? And you wouldn't want to rely too much on quickies, I imagine, because that can't be good for anybody's mental health. Wait, what does a quickie have to do with an IPA? Okay, I'm starting to get my cheese again. So let's just give this a shot. And hopefully after this I'll have my rations that I need in me to be able to get some cooking done. Okay, this IPA has a very translucent quality. Not like the unfiltered style you get with the New England IPA. So let's give this a taste. Nice and refreshing. It's like borderline fruity, I suppose. It's still really good. And it's only 6%, so I'm not going to be doing a strong fucker at the moment, as I always call them. Overall, what a great beverage to have on a Sunday evening. Or at least I would have been calling it an evening had this been December, because we still got daylight. Hallelujah. Okay, much like children, cats have their own behaviors that they enjoy doing, and that's usually a sign of something. Yoshi over here sometimes likes to come around from the garbage can over here, stand there and meow at me while I'm in the kitchen. Usually when he does that, it usually means that he wants food and is feeling kind of hungry. Yep, like kids, they all have a routine. Ain't that right, Yoshi? I know, right? Delicious. What the heck? I never thought my own commercial break or word from my sponsor would be my own cat. That's weird. I gotta find out what's going on. So this brew is actually mellowing me out to pretty well at the moment and give me just enough fuel to get started on some cooking. So I gotta admit, pizza is probably in my top 5 favorite foods of all time. And if I'm talking to anybody right now, I'm sure they would say the exact same thing. Because, it's a versatile dish. You can dress up all you want, and technically, you're getting all the food groups. You got your grains, you got your protein, you get your dairy, you get even your vegetables with the tomato sauce and whatever else you dress it on. Of course, if you have it with a lot of fat in there, then that's going to make it a bit less healthy. And while I'm going to admit that the classic tomato sauce is one you can't really beat, on occasion I would like to try something different with it. You remember a while back I did a pesto pizza, which is quite awesome, or some that I've had like plain that it's just a bit of oil with cheese and garlic, so it kind of makes it feel like, I guess, an oversized garlic bread to share. But something I remembered seeing in some restaurants is a white pizza sauce. Like, apparently that is a big thing too. And I suppose mixing that with a very creamy cheese would get the job done. And yeah, like I said again, you cannot beat the tomato sauce, because that's like the all-around, well-rounded sauce. But sometimes I do want to try different stuff. So, what I'm thinking tonight is I'm going to be putting together a nice white pizza sauce to be able to cook. And this will be a recap in case you don't remember how to make a pizza dough. Still pretty basic, but we'll get started very soon. I just want to finish this off first, because I'm feeling very chill. Good old Nordic Viking IPA. And I don't want to piss off the Nordic gods, because I think Thor will come after me with his hammer. Or Loki? Wait, is Loki a god, or am I mistaken things? Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so just in case you need a recap, I mean, if you really want to, yeah, YouTube Machine has helped me out. You can click on the link here to see how to do your own pizza dough. But if you're too lazy to click, and then I would have to ask, well, if you're too lazy to click the link up there, aren't you too lazy to click on the video to watch this one? Actually, no, forget about that. I don't want to lose viewers. Anyways, in case you don't want to click, here's a recap. You take 1 cup of warm water, mix it up with 1 teaspoon of pizza yeast, with 1 teaspoon of sugar, or what I like to use is like 1 cube of brown sugar to use that. And then in your food processor, you put 2 cups of flour with a teaspoon of salt. Your yeast mixture is going to sit for about 5 minutes until there's some foam that's going to be foaming on the top. That will let you know that it's fermenting and going to be ready to go. Once you see that foam in 5 minutes, put it into the food processor slowly to mix up, and then you're going to get your dough. Just be warned, you're going to have to get some extra flour because it will be sticky. Ugh. Why isn't... Oh, I know why this isn't working. I never plugged it in. False alarm. Now that is pizza dough. This dough looks pretty solid, not too watery, but just to make sure you can handle this properly, put a little bit of extra flour there because you're going to need it to knead the dough. That's another bad joke, isn't it? The point is, you need some flour so it doesn't stick together. Add a bit more, it makes it a bit more solidified, and then you can just play with it all you want. It's like Play-Doh, except unlike when you're a kid. kid, you're actually able to eat this. Like, Play-Doh is supposed to be non-toxic, am I not mistaken? Okay, so maybe that was a bad example, because some kid out there probably ate Play-Doh and turned out fine, I guess. And probably made a pizza out of it too if you put some sauce with that. Okay. That was some bad cheese over there. But there's going to be plenty more cheese coming up, because after all, I am making pizza. What is pizza without cheese? There, this is how it's going to be looking. And then once again, I have a giant bowl over here that's lightly oiled up just so it doesn't stick. And it's probably going to help it cook too. So put that after you're done, and it looks like it's solid. Stick it in here, and then let it rise, or as much as it can rise, for a good half hour. And then you'll be able to cook it. And that half hour will be plenty of time to get the sauce ready for us. And while this thing is going to be rising, before I get to my sauce, I think I'm going to need a refuel, because I just finished my Viking IPA. But I do have a bit of a conundrum. No, not this little guy. It's this guy. Oh, never mind. Because for a second it looked like he was right in front of the fridge trying to patrol it. Almost like he wanted to protect it. Felix, were you trying to guard my beer? Did you want to keep me from getting to another ration? Please, give me an answer, man. Time to get to round 2. So this next one is another one from Untitled Chapter, and I think it was actually my very first one that I tried out. In fact, back when before I was really starting to get into microbrews, one of my old colleagues back when I was working at H&B asked, if you like that, you should try La Pitoune from Untitled Chapter. And if you're like me, your first thought is La Pitoune? Wasn't that the name of the log right over at La Ronde? And to answer that, you will be correct, except it no longer exists. They demolished it like, I want to say last year. It was one of those few rides that seemed to survive since Expo 67 that was still there to this day. But it ain't gonna happen. Oh boy, exploding pitoon, exploding pitoon. Crap. My log exploded. What else do you want me to say? Actually, hold on, that sounds bad. Forget it. So I opened it up with my Milano guitar Kent bottle opener. Little memory of Italy. And I guess there's one thing I found at Canadian Tire that kind of amused me a while back was those bottle openers that you kind of wear as a ring. So it's like you wear a ring, you can hold a bottle, open it up, and then you're good to go. Of course, if you need like a bottle opener on the go like all the time, is that a sign that you kind of have bigger problems than other things? I don't know. And this is a very heady log. Well, while we're waiting for this to kind of disintegrate, I think I need to clean up my mess. Okay, cleanup is done. Seriously, I don't get what happened. This thing's been sitting in my fridge for a few days and somehow it got foamy or under pressure enough that it just exploded on me. I feel like it's a conspiracy. My fridge or electronics are starting to play against me now. They're trying to take over the world also. I feel like I'm using the same joke again, but that's what it kind of feels like. Sentient objects are starting to, I don't know, develop minds of their own to decide they don't want to obey our rules anymore. We're through the looking glass, people. But I suppose that's a tangent for another time if you want to wear a tinfoil hat. Overall, years later, this is still a really good beer. So next step is going to be starting your sauce. So looking up these ingredients, some of the basics you're going to need are obviously butter, milk, and flour. If you've been paying attention for a little while, cheat sheet up here on the top right corner, you'll remember that these are the basic ingredients for a bechamel sauce. So bechamel is like one of the basic sauces you're going to have that you can add to later on, or dress it up to make it kind of tasty. So we're going to start off very easily. I've got the equivalent of 2 tablespoons of butter in this pot, and I'm going to heat up over low heat to melt. A recipe I found said you can use like diced garlic and diced onion, but I don't have time for that. If I want that flavor, I'll just use the dry stuff to make my life a little bit easier. So first thing I'll do is heat this up and make sure I have the right burner too. Let it melt, and then eventually I'm going to add some flour. Butter looks like it's melted pretty well, so time to add the next step, your flour. This, you're going to need around 3 tablespoons worth. And just like with bechamel, you basically want to have it become a pasty texture and let it brown up just a little bit. And to get the best results with this, you are going to want to whisk this. Don't use a mixing spoon like I would have done years ago. It ain't going to have the same quality. So like this, keep mixing it. So this is what you want it to look like. Just lightly browned, but not too brown, and become a paste. And then once you get to this point, you would add 1 cup of milk, minimum. If you need to thicken it up later, you can always add some extra milk down the road. So put this in with the butter, start mixing it again and whisking, and then you can season it up to your liking. You have plenty of options. Of course, you have a couple of other ways you can thicken this sauce up. One of them is to use a bit of Parmesan cheese. I got Saputo over here to put half a cup worth. Mix it in. It's going to help make it thick and spreadable as well. And you just that. And you basically let this work until the cheese is all melted. And it's going to be a thing of beauty. And then for other seasonings, well, basil is one of the other things. If you don't have fresh basil, you can use plain old basil. Just put like maybe, let's try 1 tablespoon worth of this stuff. And then see how this goes. And of course, salt and pepper. A recipe I saw called for a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. Seems a little too precise, so I'm just gonna lowball or eyeball this. Take a bit of sea salt that I have left over here, mix it in, let it melt, and hopefully this is gonna thicken up soon. And then for pepper, well, you don't need too much in here, just enough to give it a bit of taste. So grind up 3 rotations. And now we play the waiting game. Or if you're bored with the waiting game, Hungry Hungry Hippos is also good. Looking at this, it's starting to get really sticky, and the cheese in here is really starting to make it bubble too, so I should probably cut it off the heat, take it away, and hope it doesn't mutate into horrible gelatinous blob. Imagine, invasion of the cheese people. We ain't gonna want to deal with that. We've already dealt with Terminators, haven't we? Anyways, this is how it's gonna be looking for you. Nice, gooey, thick. It should go really well to spread it onto a pizza. So I'm gonna get that ready, set my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Funny, we don't really use Fahrenheit up here for temperature, but we use it when we're doing cooking. I don't know, it's a weird concept to me. You use kind of both depending on the circumstances. But my dough should be ready to spread out. And then as for the other finishing touches, I'm gonna be using mozzarella cheese, obviously. Although there's Parmesan in this sauce, that means it's gonna be double the cheese. And in terms of the salty pig portion, I felt like changing up a bit. We're going to be doing some prosciutto. Some prosciuttos, I admit, could be a bit tricky because a few of them okay, that wasn't proper English. Let me restart that. A few of them will probably have a very chewy texture at times, and it's also super salty depending on which kind you get. This one that I got at Costco is not bad, and also not bad of a price considering how much prosciutto could go for at times too. So overall, it's going to be a good thing. Now let's get our pizza set up. There. Dough's ready. Let's spread this. I'm getting a larger cookie sheet instead of a pizza pan because I know that there's enough dough in here that I can let it stretch out, get a very decent amount of crust, and actually going to be a lot bigger than if I did a round one. Once again, I haven't really mastered the art of making a proper pizza dough fully round while playing with it in the air. So if any of you are a chef out there, you know how it's done, let me know in the comments section of this. Those comments have to be put to use eventually, right? Can't just be blank all the time. Let's see, spread this out. Or maybe I'll patch this up. There. I don't know if this is the proper way of doing it, but you know what? I don't care about the rules. I just want to try to see if I can make things work here. Just taking apart some parts of the dough where it's really thick and using it to patch the very thin parts that are starting to fall apart. This is what happens. You overstretch pizza, you tear it a new one. Okay, thin. Next, the sauce. You want to have a nice semi-thick layer. If there's any left, keep it aside, use it for another day. Either on pizza or even better, you could probably even put this on pasta too. It's going to be like a very thick, very cheesy bechamel sauce. Almost borderline Alfredo if I'm not mistaken, right? And after a bit of a struggle with this packaging, or still a struggle, come on, damn it. I had to resort to using a knife on this one thing. But this prosciutto is ready to be put onto the pizza too. Ouch. And I had to mangle up my pig pretty badly here. Okay. So it doesn't have to be completely uniform. Just lay it on top like this. Like you're laying down some pepperoni. You're gonna have a bit of fat on this, but it's all good. Yeah, I really got hooked on prosciutto the last few years too. Had you asked me years ago, I never would have enjoyed this just because of the saltiness and just how hard it was to chew. But I guess I learned that you have to go for good brands if you want good quality. Kind of like with that Spanish ham that I had back in Madrid years ago. Good old jamon. God, I miss that stuff. Let's say 5 slices here, or I could be a little bit more generous and add maybe 2 more slices to this. There. 1 here, and then the other one kind of break apart and fill any gaps that I may encounter. There. That is one tasty piggy pizza. And then the final step, before this thing is fully preheated, is administer some cheese. Or extra cheese, because there's already Parmesan on this bloody sauce. Now let's see. A little bit left here, but I'm not going to stinge, because I got backup cheese since I did my groceries today. You always got to be prepared for any cheese possibilities with this cooking. Keep going like that until it's fully covered and you've got a nice thick layer. Mileage may vary. If you want more cheese, go crazy, go insane. Just don't end up in a straitjacket. There's a couple of minutes left before we finally reach 400 degrees. So there's going to be one more step to do. One of the recipes I found for the white sauce said you could use oregano as optional, but I'm going to administer that to the pizza directly. So on here, I'm going to put a nice generous coating of it. You can use fresh or you could use dry. It depends on what your gardening situation is right now. And there we go. We have ourselves one prosciutto pizza with some white sauce ready to go. And then let's cook it for about, let's say 22 minutes. Oh. You know when you're trying to keep dishes out of the way because you're feeling a little bit crowded? Well, this is what happened. An old turkey pan was left right here. and that kind of got in the way of things. But you know what? It is what it is. Let's get the pizza in here, cook it up for a good 22 minutes. And there you have it. Another pizza ready to go and fire away. So while this thing is cooking up, I'm gonna probably clean up my mess that I created, enjoy the rest of my beverage over here. Precious pitun. So yeah, I'll take care of all that and then we'll be right back once it's ready to come out of the oven. Unless there's another commercial break of my cats in case sponsor needs more money. Where am I going with this? Bulk of my cleanup is good, so it's almost like I barely did a thing in this kitchen. We got a little bit of time left before this pizza is ready. And I'm actually taking my time with this brew. Pretty good, I just didn't want to overdo it. Excellent, so just a little under 30 seconds. And then to accompany my supper, I'm going to be doing some basic Sicilian olives, organic no less. Kind of want to put together a salad, but I don't know what the state of my lettuce is supposed to be like, and I'm afraid it's going to be too fermented and kind of watery. But then, if you can ferment grains and you get beer and alcohol out of it, can it be the similar thing if you're fermenting salad? Can you legit get drunk off of salad? Man, those health nuts are crazy. Somehow, even salad could be bad for you too. And on that note, time to get this ready. And we got this pizza ready to be digested. Well, first you gotta ingest it before it's digested, am I right? Once again, like I said, I have a few good olives over here. Prosciutto pizza looks actually pretty tasty, honestly. Like, seriously, I don't know what to expect with this. Let's give it a taste test. Awesome once again. And it just further proves what I've been saying earlier today. Pizza should be like a top 5 favorite dish of everybody. No matter if you like it with meat, without meat, if you want it gluten-free. It all works out in the end. But I forgot how much I love prosciutto because I haven't bought this stuff in a long, long time. And a little bit of digestion juice too. Not bad. So yeah, I like this white sauce that I put together, but the truth is that you really cannot beat a classic tomato sauce. That's like the golden standard for everybody, or actually the crimson or the red standard if you really want to go by the color. But yeah, the point is, classic tomato sauce, always going to be number one, but it doesn't always hurt to try something new. So once this episode drops, I'm going to say thank you for watching another edition of the Watanuki Cheese Café, Pizza Edition Volume 3 or 4. I feel like I could do a whole series of this of nothing but types of pizzas with all the varieties you can do with it. So thanks again. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the like below, subscribe to the channel, send me a comment or a request, and just keep spreading that cheese. Sayonara, everyone.